I think it pisses God off if you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it. Is this verse from the Bible? No, they tend not to use the word pisses in religious texts. Greetings, my Perfect Prose Pursuers. I'm Lee Stewart, and welcome to Pursuing Perfect Prose. In this video, we're noticing, see what I did there? A deceptively simple yet profoundly impactful paragraph from Alice Walker's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, The Color Purple. We'll be analyzing it in 5 sections. First, an opening analysis of the famous sentence. Next, how this passage transitions to broader themes. We'll then tackle the punchline, focusing on syntax and its impact. We'll connect this passage to the plot and characters, and round it all out with some final thoughts. If you haven't read The Color Purple in its entirety, you should. This is a poignant and empowering book about resilience, sisterhood, and self-discovery, centered on our protagonist, Celie, who overcomes abuse in the early 20th century and finds her voice and independence. All right, let's lay out the full paragraph in all its glory. I think it pisses God off if you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it. People think pleasing God is all God cares about, but any fool living in the world can see it always trying to please us back. At first read, you might think this prose, dialogue said by the morally inspirational character Shug Avery, can't be perfect. It's too simple. Ha! Walker's sentences are short, but they're not simple. Each word carries weight, carefully chosen to create layers of meaning. We're going to explore them fully, but I want to warm you up to what I mean with a quick example. This demonstrates how language, wielded by a pro, can work a sleight of hand, magic you didn't even know you'd seen. Start with the repetition of please throughout the paragraph. Pleasing God, trying to please us back. Notice how it creates a rhythm, almost like a conversation between humanity and divinity. Look also at how Walker plays with contrasts. The way her casual tone of pisses God off clashes with the profound idea of divine reciprocity. This tension keeps the reader engaged, forcing us to rethink what we assume about God and spirituality. Starting to see the perfection? No! Let's pursue this further. Damn it, I want you to see it. Part 1. Opening analysis of the famous sentence. We begin with the opening line. First, she writes, I think. These 2 words are deceptively clever. Why? Because they make the sentence conversational. It's not a proclamation, it's a personal thought. Walker isn't preaching, she's not writing as if she's addressing a church congregation. She's nudging us to consider her perspective. Now, pisses God off. Now, Walker could have said angers God or displeases God, but she didn't. She's channeling Shug Avery, a worldly, unapologetically irreverent character. She chose a phrase that's almost jarring in its casualness. It's irreverent, colloquial, and deeply human. It immediately catches us off guard and pulls you out of the lofty, untouchable image of God and into one that feels personal and approachable. She rejects formality in favor of candor. This is everyday language, direct, almost playful, yet loaded with reverence for the divine in the mundane. Then there's walk by. Not ignore or overlook, walk by. Again, the mundane, an everyday action. But it reinforces the idea that we're so wrapped up in our routines that we often miss the miracles right in front of us. Finally, the specificity of the color purple. The specificity is everything here. Specifically, what she specifies. Walker doesn't specify flowers or nature or beauty. She zeroes in on a vivid color, purple, a color that has historical and symbolic weight, royalty, spirituality, transformation, and even liberation. It becomes a stand-in for beauty and wonder. The field isn't just nature, it's nature as art. Here's a quick fact about Alice Walker. She was a sharecropper's daughter growing up in rural Georgia. Nature wasn't just a backdrop. It was the very fabric of her life. This deep connection to the land shaped her writing, grounding even the most profound statements in tangible, earthy imagery. We see it here in how she elevates a field of flowers into a spiritual experience. Part 2. The transition to broader themes. Next, the sentence shifts gears. People think pleasing God is all God cares about. Like most of this passage, at first glance, this sentence appears simple. Once again, Walker has pulled off some narrative gymnastics. This sentence is actually a lead-up to a pivot. She starts with a universal observation. People think. It's vague enough to apply to anyone, yet you soon realize it's accusatory. Who are these people? Duh, it's us. Or the religious folk who believe in God anyway. Then there's pleasing God, which we touched on earlier. Notice how Walker doesn't specify what pleasing entails. She leaves it open to interpretation. The reader fills in the blanks with their own experiences, beliefs, and assumptions. This is classic Walker, saying more by saying less. Part 3. The punchline, syntax, and impact. Okay, this is the bit where Walker flips the script on traditional religious expectations. But any fool living in the world can see it always trying to please us back. She starts with a conjunction, but, immediately signaling the counterpoint. This is the pivot I mentioned before. Walker takes us from what we think we know to what she wants us to understand. It's like a hinge that opens the door to a new perspective. Then there's any fool. This phrase is a touch of dry humor that makes the reader feel like an insider. It's both dismissive and endearing, a subtle jab at our obliviousness. It makes us feel silly for missing the obvious, but also lets us off the hook. After all, any fool can see it. Finally, it always trying to please us back. Wham! Walker's syntax is shiny! The subject, God, nature, existence, isn't explicitly named, and in this way, Walker creates an ambiguity that invites interpretation. Certainly the subject includes God, but it is no longer just God. It's also the world, nature, existence itself. And the phrase, always trying, suggests effort, persistence, even love. Walker transforms the world into an active participant in our joy. Because instead of emphasizing fear or duty or sacrifice, she redefines God's priorities as delight, joy, and creation. Notice how the sentence flows like a conversation. No commas, no pauses. It's a single unbroken thought, almost as if Shug is talking directly to us. This casual rhythm is one of Walker's strengths. It disarms the reader, making profound ideas feel approachable. In contrasting between the previous sentence, pleasing God, to this one of God trying to please us back, Walker reframes the divine relationship entirely. But the key here is brevity. Walker doesn't belabor the point. 2 sentences. Boom! She has stripped theology down to its essence and served it to us in bite-sized wisdom. Another quick fact about Walker, she coined the term womanist, emphasizing a feminism rooted in Black women's experiences. This perspective infuses the novel. The idea that God actively tries to please us challenges patriarchal religious narratives. Walker's God is creative, feminine, and joyful. Part 4. Connecting to the plot and characters. By now it's probably obvious why this book won the Pulitzer. Like I said at the start, if you haven't already done so, you should read it in its entirety. Why this paragraph is particularly good, though, is the way it summarizes the story and its themes perfectly. How? Because Shug's words embody the novel's central ideas. This is a story about seeing. Celie starts out blind to her own worth, blind to love, blind to the beauty around her. Her journey is one of opening her eyes, not just to herself, but to the world. She begins seeing beauty in the ordinary, reclaiming spirituality on her own terms, and finding empowerment in connection. And Shug Avery, who delivers this line, is her guide. Celie starts the book feeling abandoned by God, but by the end, she realizes that God and divinity aren't confined to a church or a preacher. God is in the color purple, and that idea mirrors Celie's realizations. It's in the fields, the laughter of friends, the act of sewing pants. Walker distills this philosophy into a single paragraph, making it the spiritual heartbeat of the novel. Walker once said that she writes to make people see. This paragraph is a masterclass in that mission. It's not about big, dramatic revelations. It's about noticing the small, everyday miracles. More impressive is when you consider how Walker wrote The Color Purple in epistolary form, letters written by Seeley. This structure mirrors Seeley's growth, her gradual shift from writing Dear God as a plea to writing Dear Everything as a celebration. Walker's prose is just as deliberate. Short, powerful sentences that layer meaning with each reread. Part 5. Final thoughts. So have I convinced you? Do you think this is perfect prose? If you ask me, I'm taking you watching this video as you asking. A big part of Walker's talent is in her ability to say so much with so little, to make every word sing. She combines poetic simplicity with layers of meaning. She's not showing off. She's showing us, God, the world, ourselves. But perfection is subjective. Some might agree with me that it's Walker's informality that makes this passage so impactful. Others might argue that her informal tone detracts from the elegance of the message. So my perfect prose pursuers, whether you think I'm giving Walker too much credit or not enough, let me know in the comments. Oh, and whatever you do, don't walk past the color purple in a field without noticing it. Dang it! You know better now. Perhaps perfection is impossible. The pursuit, however, is where the fun is. Read on!